Hello everyone and welcome back to Hachina Culture Japan. I'm Hach coming to you from Japan. Today we are continuing our story about Japan and the FIFA World Cup. Japan had finally qualified for its first ever World Cup in 1998 held in France. With the hopes of an entire nation on their shoulders, the players representing Japan stepped onto the world's biggest stage. 4 years after the agony of Doha came the final stage of qualification. To qualify for the World Cup, Japan had to face Iran in playoff between the two second-place teams. On November 16, 1997 in Johor, Malaysia, Japan faced Iran in the biggest match in the nation's football history. After a dramatic extra-time battle, Japan won 3-2. Masayuki Okano scored the golden goal, sending Japan to its first ever World Cup. The moment that ball hit the back of the net, the entire country exploded with joy. I'll say it as many times as I have to. It took 4 long years after the agony of Doha. The J-League itself was only 5 or 6 years old at the time. Not a single player in Japan's 1998 World Cup squad was playing for an overseas club, and yet Japan had finally reached the World Cup. The celebration was absolutely incredible. Now here's something many people don't know about Okano. He hadn't played a single minute during the final qualifying stage. Then, in extra time he was finally called into addition. The pressure was enormous. He made several mistakes and even missed a huge scoring chance. When he talked about the match on Japanese TV shows today, he often laughs and says things like, "It was hell." He's even said, "I never want to go through that again, even if I'm reborn." Apparently, he genuinely felt that if Japan lost, he might not even be able to go home. And then, somehow that same player becomes the man who sent Japan to its very first World Cup. These days, it's completely normal for the best players from each country to move to top clubs overseas. In fact, 23 of the 26 players in Japan's 2026 World Cup squad play for clubs outside Japan. But back in 1998, things were very different. Every single player in Japan's World Cup squad played in the J-League. It was the first and probably the last Japanese national team made up entirely of J-League players. And somehow, the team achieved what generations of Japanese football fans had dreamed of. Now, it was finally time for the World Cup itself. Unfortunately, Japan lost all the matches. Japan lost to Argentina 1-0, then they lost to Croatia 1-0, and finally they lost to Jamaica 2-1. We were all caught up in the excitement and cheering for Japan, but honestly the results weren't that surprising. The gap between Japan and the world's two football nations still felt enormous. Even so, Japan managed to score its first ever World Cup goal. It came against Jamaica, when Masashi Nakayama found the back of the net in the 74th minute. Even though Japan lost the match, it was still a historic moment for Japanese football. After the 1998 World Cup, more and more Japanese players began moving overseas. Before long, leagues like Italy Serie A started being shown on Japanese television late at night. As fans watched world-class football week after week, their understanding of the game gradually grew as well. Looking back now, 1998 may have ended in 3 straight defeats, but it was also beginning of a brand new era for Japanese football. That's all for this episode. The 1998 World Cup was the very first World Cup I ever watched, so it will always be special to me. I was a huge fan of Gabriel Batistuta back then. Japan may have lost, but I was completely glued to every match. It's hard to believe that was 28 years ago now. Do you have any memories of the 1998 World Cup in France? If you do, share your favorite memories and stories in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.